can I tell you? Are you getting that?
A creamy, smooth pop icon goddess?
Oh, yes! Were you nuts or something?
Yes.
You don't have to film this. We're only getting in a car. What's wrong? Get a life.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, shut up!
This is my first day of filming. Hi, thanks. This is really nerve-wracking. It's another life. It doesn't even feel like the same skin. I don't remember this. I've never seen it
You've
for
never
20...
watched it back?
No, never. And people say, oh, you were on TV? And I go, no, I wasn't. I write books. And now you're digging it up.
Which ones do you really want to see?
Imelda and Sharon Stone, Tom Hanks, Donald Trump. We could pass on that.
OJ.
Oh, no, OJ was a good one, but
Yeah, yeah.
Trump scared the shit out of me. And I think it's my fault he kept a career going. This is the worst interview I ever did.
Yeah.
I know, because I was shaking in my shoes. It was a series called American Pie, and a lot of the series was real people, not celebrities. And so we did women who sell their eggs online, and we did the Appalachian people who throw snakes at each other, and then they must have said, oh, just do another celebrity.
Donald Trump. At this time, not just a billionaire real estate magnate, but also a presidential hopeful. Some of his policies? Well, he sees North Korea as the biggest threat to USA security, and if needs be, he's prepared to nuke them. And oh yeah, he'd like Oprah Winfrey in his cabinet.
A little bit of Vegas flying in the air. Oh, look at the toilet. Oh, it's gold. There's this gold sink, John, look. Wow. And look at a cushioned toilet thing. I've never, like you're gonna sit on it? Oh, wait, oh, it's a bidet. Why would you need a bidet on an airplane? Why would you need a bidet on an airplane?
Usually I warm people up. You know, there's like a day or something. But this was the first time I met him. I was terrified, and so I started that shtick right away.
Do you want a little makeup?
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Is this on now or not?
It's always on.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's great.
it's all, we never
Good.
close.
Okay, why don't we do this? Turn that off for a second. I'll do that. Okay.
All right.
I felt right away this wasn't a match made in heaven.
I'm talking like I'm on helium. I don't talk like that. Even in the voiceover, I'm scared.
Hi, who are you?
I'm Roger Stone.
Oh, Roger, hi, nice to meet you.
And in the background is the Machiavellian Roger Stone, who, when he left office, remember Trump gave him a pardon? You know, because he was in prison because he was doing wrong things.
Yeah, because you're a little tan.
Palm Beach. Why don't you sit here and why don't you have the camera right there, okay?
Well, I'd like to be on it too. That's my problem. So do you mind me sitting
wanna
next
sit
to you?
here?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm getting to the charm, you know what I mean? We're trying to get to the charm, which he's very charming.
I mean, this won't last the entire flight, I would assume. I mean, I assume this is also being recorded, so.
Yeah, this'll last. It depends when you're funny. It's in when you're not funny.
This is one of the most excruciating moments of my career. It did not feel good. Not Donald's fault, but I sensed it might only get worse.
You did, but you never smiled once, and you probably have a really good smile.
Well, that's okay.
Okay?
Just an average smile. Let's go.
Okay, you're not gonna, all right. You know, like you have a plane, you have like this great life that anybody would want to have. Why would you want to run for president? Because a president would want this gig.
Well, it really is. We could save a lot of money with Air Force One. We wouldn't need Air Force One.
Because you'd use this plane.
Think of how the taxpayers would benefit by that.
It's another acquisition. I mean, it is an acquisition of power.
What happened was because he scared me, I wasn't as funny as I could be. It was less and less funny and more aggressive. But it was too daunting with him. He didn't get it. And he looked at me the way my dad always looked at me, like, oh, God, she's a kook, rolling his eyes. She's not funny, she's not talented, she's an idiot. And I saw that in front of me, so I became an idiot.
Okay, we have to take off.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, do you have to go in the front?
I'm going to
Can I
just
come
go
too?
upstairs. Relax for a second.
Oh,
just take it
please,
easy.
I want to sit in the cockpit too.
Let her take up the mic.
Excuse me. That's enough. I have a headache.
Do you hate me?
No, I think you're fine, but it's enough. Okay, excuse me.
Okay.
I think it's enough. I mean, we're just, you know, it's like a comedy routine here.
And here is the nightmare every interviewer fears when you see your career spiral out of control. But after some schmoozing, which I can't go into, Donald agreed to come back, but it was very dicey.
I hope this show goes to Scotland.
Of course it does.
Does it go to the Hebrides?
Of course it does.
You know, my mother was born in the Hebrides.
Yeah.
And she's a MacLeod. And I love England and I love Scotland, although they don't necessarily love each other.
MacLeod was a famous clan, wasn't
Warriors.
it? Warriors.
Great warriors.
Yeah.
And my mother's a great warrior.
Did she give you a tough time when you were growing up?
No, she's a great mother. I actually had a great mother.
You're lucky. I had a terrible mother. I always
did?
feel very
I
ripped
can
off
tell.
of it. You can tell, I
Yeah,
know.
because you're angry.
I am angry. You can read
You're
that?
angry with a smile.
He read me. You know, I'm aggressive with a smile. But boy, was he scary.
Let's go.
Okay, can I go in your car?
Not with the camera. Not with the...
No camera?
When we were in the car, that's when he started to like me because he talked about women and what he likes to do and used the P word, and him and Roger were schmoozing, and he thought I'd faint from horror, but, you know, I could give as good as I could take.
So then Roger and me and, oh yeah, Donald, headed off to his Taj Mahal casino. At this point, Donald and I are friends. We're just kidding around. He's such a kidder.
I'm going to be with you
You
until
ever
you
stop?
throw me out. But this isn't working.
Typical American.
It's
You know,
like-
you ought to throw her out of England. It's too obnoxious to be in England.
He keeps using that word. It's so insulting. Oh, I've been squeezed out. I understand. Okay, I'll be back here. If you guys want me, I'm back here.
He terrified me. That's my biggest fear, is a male looking at me with that much hatred. Trump is impenetrable, and I'm like a dog. I'm relentless, and that's not what would ever work. I could never get through to him or figure him out.
You are so obnoxious.
I know, but
This is a
I'm here.
reporter for BBC. She's the world's most obnoxious reporter.
You know this woman? Big reporter in England.
Never heard of
She
it
means
yet.
nothing over here.
No.
Stay there. You have to stay at the door.
All right, I'll stay here. See how we have a relationship going now. I have to stay at the door.
Stay at the door.
Would you take this lamb chop? Just get it out of my hand.
When he says I'm obnoxious, I have to admit, he's right. Because he scared me so much, I'm up against the wall. So I'm just saying anything now.
Oh, the role of the First Lady, which, of course, I never discussed with him because he says he can get one within 24 hours.
Well, he could. I mean, the point is that I think he would have a very traditional first lady. I mean, somebody who takes care of all the social responsibilities, somebody who's active in...
How would he find one within 24 hours?
Well, I think he has somebody specific in mind. He just has to decide to marry
What's your name?
her.
What's your name? Who would that be?
I couldn't comment on that.
Is it the girlfriend now that we know and love?
Melania Knaus may be the hottest, biggest supermodel ever to come out of Slovenia. Despite the 27-year age gap, she found herself strangely attracted to her billionaire employer.
She was doing that for us.
Show me how to do it for the camera. You're just posing.
And then you're laughing, you know.
Yeah.
It was so
But mostly
Very
you're
good.
like this.
It's good.
Is there any time where you say, no, I will not do that pose?
Yes.
Okay. What was the pose?
I don't want to tell you.
Well, whisper and I'll tell it.
I can.
Well, I can imagine.
There were some strange poses.
Was it like this? I actually have always gone out with younger men. Did you always go out with older men? Or is this your
Older than
first?
me.
Big
Older than me. Older than me.
Always?
But not. Yes.
Like 27 years older? That's old.
No. You know what? I don't see the age difference. First of all, I don't see at all. I don't know why, but I don't see it. Because maybe we are both so similar, the same, you know, he's very young.
I mean, be honest. Is it a turn on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he can keep that up.
He could give it up easily.
He's as virile as he says because he told me he was pretty virile. I mean, you don't have to give me details, but he's like, can he put his money where his mouth is?
Yeah.
He is. The crew want to know what you're doing later today. I have to ask.
At the time, we just thought, well, this will be a funny interview with a model who's dating a billionaire. I didn't realize she would one day be the first lady. I mean, neither did she. What an innocent, and what a Greek tragedy.
Back at the Taj, the Trumpmeister is giving away money for a change to some of the biggest losers at his casino. They've apparently lost much money at his tables. These are some of the happiest losers money can buy. No wonder they cheer for him to be their next El Presidente.
This is why he won. Look at that adoration.
Would you vote for Donald for president?
Where's Charles?
I sure would.
Come
Why
on,
not?
Charles, get up
He's
here.
just as good as the rest of the
Right.
jerks.
Come on, Paul.
I mean, really, come on, nobody had any idea that this guy would one day be president. He did have 80 million followers on Twitter. That's the tragedy of America. We're at the mercy of Twitter.
And he comes up to you and he says, Mr. Trump, I'm a huge fan.
He runs, he's gonna win.
Why do you say that, honey?
I've always loved Donald Trump.
Is that like your symbol of Trump?
He said he gave me these because he appreciated the business that I've given him.
How much business have you given him?
$2.5 million.
$2.5 million. You had $2.5 million?
Yeah, I gave it all to Mr. Trump right here at the Taj Mahal.
Like you gambled it?
Like I gambled it. But he's always,
He gave you a ring back?
he gave me all of these.
Donald did? Are you engaged?
No.
Get this. The people who've lost most to him at his casino are now lining up to buy Donald's latest book, The America We Deserve. And that about sums it up.
Now, I would shut up and let him rip about being the next president, what were his plans, and just kept my face deadly straight. Don't ever play comedy to a man that's that narcissistic because they see it as a low IQ. I know, when I went to high school with guys, they don't understand that, I mean, in this case, I'm not real funny, but they didn't think comedy had anything to do with intelligence, and he really doesn't. You don't crack jokes around him. He could smell I didn't respect him. Nobody wants to be interviewed by somebody who doesn't respect him.
I'm the best, huh? You said I'm the best on TV. You're right, but the competition isn't much.
I think that was supposed to be a jibe at me.
Oof, I'm even cringing now.
Can I say goodbye? Thank you so much. No, you're leaving me. I'm going to miss you.
It's very uncomfortable when they don't like you.
She's not as obnoxious as I said.
And you know you have to stay in the room with your foot in the door, but they really don't like you. It hurts, but you're making TV and you're getting paid, so shut up and keep going.
What a guy. I'd vote for him.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
How it all began. I did Miami memoirs about my parents, which was the first thing I ever did, because I like the idea to take real people and cut it in such a way that it looks like a feature film. And then I put my parents in it.
Can I borrow the car, please?
Of course not. Told you that before. You can't have the car. Is it worth it that you're dragged out of the car, they take the car and they kill you or maim you? Is it worth it?
And my mother said the famous line,
Mom, it's just saying.
Civilized people don't bring sand into a building, okay?
And then I was doing a show called The Full Wax. It was more of a talk show, and there was a live audience. And it took place in a house, and there was a kitchen, and there was an upstairs, but it was open plan so the audience could see it, the live audience. And then I'd do really famous people upstairs, and other people would be in the kitchen with me. We never did recipes, but you know, it was an excuse to do the B celebrities. And then I used to leave the set if somebody, let's say I'd say, oh, well, Joanna Lumley didn't show. So we cut to film that we had made earlier in the week, and I broke into her house. And she was a wreck. It was the early Patsy.
I'm gonna kill you!
And then when I got back to the studio, I just would interview the next person, and the audience complained that I had broken into Joanna Lumley's house. Many questions on that one. How did I leave the studio and get there in 10 seconds? And is that how Joanna Lumley lives? Felicity Kendall, we had an S&M gear.
I know what you want.
I'm out of here.
A woman's work. Isn't that a done?
Yes. Who else did we do? Oh, Grace Jones didn't bother showing up. And so we had to do her 3 weeks later in the ladies' toilet.
Was there a moment where you thought, oh, Grace, we're going too far?
Yes, but I have a guardian angel there, a few.
Well, some of it was scripted, and then there was stuff that was real. I mean, obviously, Grace Jones was a real interview. Lumley was a sketch that I'd written. Love you! Mwah! I love her. I really love her.
But you never explained which was which, so the viewer never knew what they were watching.
We had Danny DeVito.
Is that your leg on my knee?
Billy Crystal, Lauren Bacall, Shelley Winters. I'd really, you know, get into this kind of persona of a loud American.
You would look like a bald American eagle in this. This is fantastic.
I had to keep the same persona. So I went in there with this, you know, big smile and stuff so that it would be consistent. And then when we didn't even do the talk show, I'm still left with this thing projecting my voice. And that wasn't who I was, but I guess it made good television. Oh, and then I became that person. You know, I didn't start off like her. I wasn't quiet, but I was kind of a loser. But then, I don't know, I turned from the ugly duckling into Joan Rivers overnight. I used to beg and say, please get Carrie Fisher to come on the show, because I had this fantasy that we would meet and then we would fall in love and we'd live together forever. And then my dream came true. I've never seen anything with Carrie in it since she died.
I had to actually go to her because she couldn't be bothered to come to me. Her mother is Debbie Reynolds, her father is Eddie Fisher, her stepmother is Elizabeth Taylor, so that's who she is. She started off her life as Princess Leia, then she dropped the princess and picked up the pen, and she lived there ever since. She is, among everything else, a leading expert on relationships. Now we will go to Carrie Fisher. Okay, what's the time now?
Time now is 2:15.
2:15, and we were here since?
Well, I've been here since 10:15.
10:15, waiting for Carrie Fisher. Well, let's show the books, and maybe that's as good as having her on the show. Here, you pretend you're Carrie Fisher, and I'll pretend I'm Carrie Fisher's friend. Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
I really like your book.
Thank you.
Did it take long to write?
No.
That's been very interesting. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Check on Carrie Fisher.
I didn't know her from Star Wars. I knew her as an author. Star Wars, I mean, that is a big deal. But the writing, I've never read any writing like that. That was just as brutal and as funny and as accurate and as vicious as you could get. So this is meeting your God.
It isn't my first B12 shot. It is, as a mother, which you would think it would be a better, hello, I'm Princess Leia Organa. Fly me to Alderaan.
Do you know who she is? Be honest. No. What do you think she does for a living?
Thank you. Is that...
Food fight! What does she do you think? And why are we filming her?
Why are people talking to me? Because I'm a high fashion model.
High fashion model.
It used to be, but she had a horrible accident. Horrible. But you were an actress, and that was further than I got. I don't know how good or bad. I'm desperate. We discussed this yesterday.
Saying Governor Tarkin.
You
I
got
thought
into
I
Central
recognized
School
your
of
foul
Drama.
stench. Yeah.
I was so in awe. I was so in awe that I knew I couldn't top her.
Did you call Liz Taylor like Mom?
Oh, yeah, I still do. Yeah. She adores me, drags me up onto her lap. What happened today, darling? How is the book doing? She adores me. No. No, I met her once when I was about 3. I went to the Beverly Hills Hotel with my father, and what I remember was she was wearing like a see-through negligee when she answered the door. And I remember it, so I must have known it was very important, and this was the clue to what had happened that had gone wrong.
And did your mother, was she kind of, what was she then? Was she angry?
She's not angry, I'm on her behalf. But my mother was never upset. She was always like a fan of Elizabeth Taylor.
She thought, well, if you're gonna be left for somebody,
Might as well be Elizabeth Taylor, and that is really probably the truth.
That's her ego wasn't damaged, I'm sure.
Oh, it was. It was. Because Elizabeth was a friend, and it was a very public humiliation, and she wanted to die. And she had 2 small infants, and you cannot have the luxury of being depressed. I know this now, too.
She did exactly what I always dream of when you're interviewing. You're funny, 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 and then you see who she is, and that's, to me, a wonderful thing to behold. It's not all shtick, but suddenly they get real.
Well, you got Paul Simon, which...
And I wrote all those lyrics. God,
You wrote Bridge Over River Kwai?
Bridge Over Debbie's Daughter, I think it was. But he changed it. I said, you're a fool, it's really catchy. But he changed it.
What does he know?
Men.
I know.
Go figure.
But he must have been fun. He doesn't look
is fun.
But he looks like maybe when the doors are
shut. It's not
shut.
like a consistent... But no men are.
And did you laugh at his jokes in the beginning?
That's how I got him.
Yeah, but you know, I've been with men where you think it's impossible to get this guy to laugh, and suddenly when, you know, there's something comes to life.
Oh, that's the big thrill. But
yes.
I mean, Harrison is the more
Harrison
extreme
Ford.
version of that, where you think, he's never going to smile. He is never, literally, there's going to be, his teeth are going to hyperventilate. I can't believe it. And then it happens, and it's like a miracle. It's like the virgin birth of his teeth. And you get so excited that you accomplished making him laugh. So, yes.
But then a lot of times when you get yourself in those situations, you're the kind of like tap dancer, you know what I mean? And that is your mission.
I was the one
and then you
that
hate
was
yourself.
practicing wise, knowing looks in the stone grass of their periphery. You know what I mean? They would be like, and I would be looking like I was deliberately not caring that we weren't talking at all.
She spoke prose that were jewels just dropping out of her mouth all the time. Profound.
I was like the dead air queen, you know, like captive by dead air, contained by it. It's too quiet, I'm supposed to be making a point, but none existed. I acted like somebody like, how could you leave me? I'm so much fun. And like, who wants to have fun all the time, though?
I've been the tap dancer
They
all
do
my
say,
life.
I want you forever, and then they go, oh, but I mean, forever just ended. You know, I should have had a V8. Now I want something calmer. I want to be the center. I don't want to be Carrie Fisher's boyfriend.
Right,
I don't want to
okay.
be Ruby Wax's sidekick.
Shut up, my husband's listening to this.
Well, but I mean, if you achieve a certain celebrity, you want to date an accomplished woman, you might not want to marry one.
You know, that brain was too fast. It was too fast for this world.
There, you're on a show.
She has a friend.
I have a friend in England
who likes
gives me
her.
a party.
She had an imprint on her, a daughter of movie star, and that wasn't good for her health. If she just realized she was the most talented woman writer on the face of the earth, she would have had a different dignity.
The only other person I've ever told this to, and I swear to God, is my therapist. Because it's my, you know, seriously, it's not what he did. This is your father, Eddie Fisher. It's what he didn't do. I knew it! No, wait, listen.
Story of his life.
I'm in Vegas. My father took me there when I was about 6, and I was a really ugly child. I had like bad teeth, you know, those like kind of the missing link thing. And I had my Shirley Temple doll with me. So we're at the Dunes Hotel, and my father says, there's Eddie Fisher. And he was sitting with some cronies of his. And my father went over to Eddie Fisher and said, hey, have I got a girl for you? Hey, Ruby, come on out here. Come on out here. And I was hiding behind the thing, and he went, she's beautiful. And your dad started to go, yeah, let's see her. And my father, I think it might have been 10 seconds, but to me it was like 8 years went by going, boy, she's a knockout. He was with Liz Taylor at the time. 6? Maybe 8. He's a knockout. You gotta see this chick. Come on out here, Ruby. And I wouldn't come out, and my mother went behind me and went, go on out there, Ruby. And I went out, and Eddie Fisher and his friends went,
oh my God.
That story was traumatic. Exactly while I was telling it, I picture her dad laughing at me.
You know what I mean? It was
You know what? It was cruel of all the adults.
It was cruel of my dad.
It was cruel of every
everybody.
adult in
Isn't
that
that
room.
horrible?
All right, we're going shopping now.
Okay,
Come on.
thank you.
And we went shopping, and we never stopped for 35 years. And when we were old, we were going to live together. We were going to sit in a rocking chair with a rifle. But I don't remember her being that beautiful. Oh my God, I don't remember. She'd come and stay in my house. There'd be cigarette burns everywhere and Coke cans and her house slippers. She really did live in her bed most of the time. And my kids just got used to seeing her shuffling around. You know, it was no big deal. And then people would come and go, "Are you Carrie Fisher?" And she'd have a cigarette hanging, and she'd go, "I was." Maybe doing this whole career was worth it to get her as my friend.
I mean, you didn't pull any punches on those questions.
Maybe they appreciated my honesty. I don't know. The nerve. But it was a house style, and it worked, and it worked, and it worked.
Bye-bye.
So we had Carrie in my last show of The Full Wax, and we filmed that and dropped it into the studio. And then we ditched the studio and started a new series called Ruby Wax Meets. And Goldie Hawn was our first guest.
Who was Goldie Hawn then to us?
I only saw her when I was a little kid on Laugh-In, where the thing would open and she'd be all blonde and go, you know, and she'd laugh. Then she went on and she could act. So she was in Private Benjamin and Death Becomes Her. So, you know, she was a movie star.
Oh my God.
Well, in the first series of the documentary interviews, you insisted that we play it to an audience, so it actually has a laugh track on it. Because if we don't get the right audience ratio, we get axed. You still were sort of
Wanted to do that. I
Yeah.
wanted to do a comedy show.
Like you needed the constant laughter track.
Interesting, but at that time, comedy wasn't in documentary. So I was mixing genres.
I just want to show you the complete, not that shot.
It's so self-indulgent. Aha, it's so funny.
And nobody share any popcorn with those two people because I know where their hands have been.
I think if when you didn't have an audience, it sounded a little dead, and it was a comedian. I don't know.
Okay, roll the film.
Hello.
Hi, can I come in?
Yeah.
Hi.
Are you Ruby?
I'm Ruby. Hello, hi. No, I'm another person with a camera. Hi, nice to meet you.
Are you Ruby?
He's Ruby. They're all extensions of Ruby.
Come on in, Ruby.
Thank you. This is friends of Ruby. Where is she? Should we just go and look for her? This is all Goldie's, is it?
We didn't warm up. We opened the door, and that's really when I met her.
Oh, hi.
Where have you been?
You look gorgeous. We met your hairdresser.
I need mascara.
What a great sport. You know, that's a great sport, not to go, get out, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I've got loads of mascara.
You do?
Yeah.
Good.
I'll
Maybe
get
I
it
need
now.
the beating this morning.
Something. I'll just stand behind you and point.
The sitting room and
I don't like the laughing at all. Can we not take that off?
No, we can't.
You are excessive.
I am excessive. You give me one red, I want them all, babe, and I want them in my bottom. Now, not just in my mouth.
I knew my job was to make her laugh. And if somebody laughs, I'll get funnier and funnier. If I don't like them, you know, it shuts down. But because the popular girl liked me, I just pulled out everything.
We just want to show a side angle. We want to know what are his office hours and what's his name to create non-deflap.
Now we're
There's
gonna
no stomach flap because there you see that, and here we see.
You have non-deflap.
Well, if I took the pants down, my navel would be scraping your carpet.
It's like playing tennis. You can't really tell what you're talking about, but you know that they're swinging back, and you keep hitting the ball and they're swinging back. It's almost like you're not even thinking anymore. It is like a sport.
I am completely rolled into my own trousers. It's not pretty. And if I twirled, I could make a skirt with my intestines. Just let me take the shoes
Feel
off.
how good this is.
See, in my home, sheets never are like this. I think people misunderstood that I was just trying to be wacky. I wasn't. I was trying to relax them. And so I think the show was short-shifted, saying, oh, isn't it goofy that they're both doing that? And it really was taken as being a very shallow thing to do. But the conversations were often so much more interesting. That was my interest, is to take off the mask and see what's under there. I want to know who they are and what makes them tick. I want nobody to touch me when I'm sleeping. I don't want their contours when they start pumping you. Do you know that one? And you go, get away from me! Get away! And they're
going like, you're really going to be turned on by this thing protruding into your spine. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to go, yes, my ovums are open. Do you know what I'm saying? Does he rub himself against your back? And that's supposed to be a secret code.
So awful.
It's awful.
Well, you know what
why
it
we
is.
do
No,
this.
here's the reason.
Yes.
You know, honestly, you want to talk about just for a second.
Okay.
Women have to be softly touched and turned on. It can't just be, you know, the sounding of the knell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, you know, it's got to, you have to feel like somebody wants you. Not that they just have to have you because it got up, you know. That's the difference.
Now, have
I mean,
you trained
really,
him?
it's-
Have you trained Kurt?
Kurt is truly the greatest.
He's good in
He's
bed.
really good.
Did you train him, or did he come like that?
No, I mean, you know, it's like after 13 years, you get to know what you like,
Right.
you know.
I like her honesty. She's not kidding. I'm kidding the whole time.
Okay, so you just stretch out.
I'm getting a gorgeous view of you here. I can see exactly why you're well known, why you've done well. It's unbelievable.
If you make them laugh, then you can land something serious in the middle of it.
Now bring it down to the front. Get your elbows on the floor.
Okay, so that's it now. What do we do next?
But I really don't believe you can do that if you didn't make them laugh.
How come you did that quantum leap? Because you really have to have a need for fame. It does not land on your head.
No, you know what it was?
What?
I danced from the day I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
And I always knew that when I grew up, I was going to be a dancer.
When you got the real thing, you know, when suddenly real fame hits, and there's a difference. You know, being a dancer is like, you know, that's art, and then fame is the cancer. I mean, really.
No, wait a
How did you
minute.
react when you got the real
I
thing?
went into an anxiety attack, the likes of which you've never seen, and I went to a psychiatrist for 7 years. When people look at me, they don't see me. With all due respect, and I really do respect people who honor you for whatever they think you are.
Yeah.
But they don't know you. It's like a Rorschach test where you put the ink in, you look at it. What do you see? You see what you need to see. And that's all they're doing. I had a hard time with the giggle and the look because people demanded it of me early on when I was doing laughing. And they'd say, oh, come on, Goldie, giggle. Oh, giggle. I didn't feel like giggling. Then I would say to them, I don't feel like laughing. Make me laugh, and I'll laugh. I mean, you know, now I realize that's a big part of my personality.
You know, the thing about her is you feel heat. You know, she's warm. She's a nice person. It's not the disease of fame. She's not watching who's watching her. She's genuinely excited about being alive.
What if when life starts to slide, not because of you, but because of gravity, or because of, you know, decay? I'm not being depressing,
It's
am I?
very
Will you be a happy
hard
old
to
woman?
get over. I'm going to be a happy old woman.
I bet you are. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am. There are so many things I'm interested in life. Show business is just a tiny little part.
She's one of the ones that survived fame. She's exactly right when she says, I'll be a happy older woman. She's a happy older woman because she got over the addiction of needing to be worshipped all the time and went and studied the mind. And she started the Hawn Foundation and also got the money to put together Mind Up. I think it's in tens of thousands of schools where kids are learning about emotional intelligence, about how to regulate their own emotions. So she's really into what I'm into. Get these kids' empathy button going. And she's evolved. I can't say that about many people, but she's got that light, but she's very steady. She's really sure who she is, and she's a heavyweight.
I feel like I'm getting in a toilet. I feel like I'm getting in a huge toilet. Just sit down.
I was ashamed of my body.
My body. I don't like nobody so much, do they?
Do you believe that? I was ashamed of my body. Oh my God. I was ashamed of my body and I was like a baby. You know, why didn't you tell me, Clev? Why didn't you say, Ruby, it's a really good body, stand in front of the camera, you'll want to remember this 25 years later.
25 years' time.
Maybe I should get naked now so when we do this, I'll reminisce about this.
In
You'll
25
say,
years' time.
look at your body.
Yeah. And
Should I
you'll say,
take off my old...
Where?
Where's my body? Clive, get the pooper scooper.
How much do we owe you? I don't know. Clive, give me the checkbook. What was it? It was what? I said from 11 o'clock to what's the time now? She chalks off till what
Okay,
time?
my watch went dead.
Thank you for the interview.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
15 pounds. I left out the I'll just say they got wet.
What I love.
Goldie Hawn, that's my writing.
This is good.
There you go, sweetheart. There you go. One interview down.
This is Tom Hanks. Well, he won 3 Oscars, and he was in Forrest Gump. He was in Sleepless in Seattle. He was in Toy Story. That's when celebrity had talent.
She's meant to be funny. If you could just, like, laugh and say you know her
She's supposed
show.
to be funny.
Yeah, and just say that you like her and that you're pleased to do her show, and it'll all work.
Okay, all right, fine, fine, happy to.
She's called Ruby Wax.
Ruby Wax.
I said, we've got Tom Hanks for a couple of hours. And you said, what are we going to do with him? And you said, I'm fed up with coming up with the ideas. You're the producer, what ideas have you got? I'm going to pay Tom Hanks to laugh at your jokes. And you went, that's genius!
I really like your film. I saw it on the airplane. It's good.
You saw it on the airplane?
Just finishing the final.
Oh, sure,
lift.
yeah, okay, all right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank
you.
Have you done the lift? And are they even? Okay. All right, look. Okay, Tom, hi.
Hi, Ruby.
Hi, it was
Very,
really, I
very
loved your
nice to
film,
meet
and
you.
we all loved the film. Did we all love the film? And
Oh, that's nice.
what was the name of the film? Okay.
I don't even know.
Anyway, I just liked it when I won the spot. I liked the film.
great.
I saw it on the film.
Thank you.
And it
Thank
was
you. That's
free,
very
which
nice
is
of you.
important. And
It was, and you didn't have to pay the little headphone.
didn't even have to do that. And I laughed because I've walked out of films in the airplane.
Really?
Is that funny?
Not mine. I mean, that's very
No.
funny. Like walking out of the airplane, like open the door and get out. Yeah,
It was
great.
funny?
Great, yeah.
But I forgot that that was a setup, so I thought I really was funny. I really thought I'm a genius, because he's so good. Oof. Well, talk about happy days.
Did you notice my suite?
I think it's fantastic. It's much larger than mine.
No.
Yes, it is.
How
It's
many rooms have
huge.
you got?
I just have one little thing. It's got a bed and a little sitting
Do you want to see
area.
all of mine?
Could I? Oh, thanks. Thanks, great.
Okay, but we liked the film.
yeah?
Yeah. it was
Did
good.
you?
The
Did
things
you?
you do, the things you do. Yeah.
No, things you do.
Whatever it was. Anyway, this is my little area here. I don't know if they gave you this. The
You know
floating
what?
pad.
I have to call down and, oh, no, it's like a little finger bath or
Yeah.
something.
Did you get that?
Your hands look so clean and lovely and moist and soft. There's a great, I love this. That's like a rooster, a cock or something.
A cockhead.
There. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Anyway, come on. I'm feeling good. So this is, do you have a separate bedroom?
No, I have a separate bathroom, but this is great.
It's good, isn't it?
Wow,
It's
this is
mine.
so
Did he tell
roomy.
you it's mine?
Is it really?
Well, they got it for me, and usually I used to have to go to them, but not anymore.
Not anymore? Well, that's because
Closet
you're
space.
so, you're such a big
You know
celebrity.
about me.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you have, look at that, furs and parkas and,
And they're
all your
not
own
even
stuff.
mine. I say I want it filled, they fill it.
That is tremendous.
Do you have a mini bar?
You know why we did that? Because I thought he's so sick of being interviewed about his films and things. Let's just give him a good time.
Oh, look at that. It's like a little refrigerator and it's loaded with stuff.
Yeah.
Could I just keep a little?
One for
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Because, when you're paying, how much is the suite?
Oh, thousands, Ruby,
Thousands of pounds.
Do you have
not
this,
just
the marble,
dollars, but
and the marble
pounds.
bathroom? Do
Oh,
you have
this
that?
is.
We're
listen
the
to that.
telephone, so when you're on the toilet, you can talk and talk.
You actually talk on the toilet? That must be something to see. No, we're just.
Come on, I'll show you. I'll show you.
So how does it work?
Clive, I love him. Well, you sit here and you talk.
It's just like take care of business and like chat.
He's so grateful that I'm not really doing an interview. He's so happy because nothing's more boring than having a straight interview.
So I know you're married, and I know your wife likes to smell like...
We have a dental kit and a shaving kit. You know what? I have teeth, and I often have to shave.
Well,
thank
how
you.
did I know?
Thank you, Ruby Wax. That's so nice of you.
Here's a little something.
Oh,
there you go. Okay, well, let's do the interview now, because...
And I think he liked that we could play it back. Like I'm playing an asshole, and he probably never saw an interview play an asshole, like a loser.
Which show of mine was your favorite?
Oh, all of them. All of them. I mean, I am the biggest fan of the Ruby Wax show.
Yeah.
I just love
Which
it.
one? I mean, just like everybody always says, oh, that was my favorite of that. So which was yours?
You know, I think it was the seventh one.
Who was that then?
You did this thing where you were on this deal and you were talking to who was it?
Who was it?
You know, it's they're really famous, and I'm bad with names. Was it Liz Taylor? You were talking to Liz Taylor? I think it was Liz Taylor. No, it was no. It was Lauren Hutton. You were talking to Lauren Hutton?
No, it wasn't Lauren Hutton.
You were talking to who's that? Like she's an icon. You remember?
It wasn't Liz, and it wasn't thing. But you know, if you had. Most people know who I've talked to.
You were chopping vegetables.
No, I didn't chop
You were gonna
vegetables.
like
I don't
make
do that.
a soup together, and
I've never done that.
okay. There was one that you did with
What are you laughing about?
with a guy who was almost James Bond. He wasn't James Bond, but he was going to be James Bond, but then he turned out not being James Bond.
Can I just
and
ask
it
you a
was really
question?
funny.
Can I just stop you here? Can I just ask you a question? Have you seen my shows? Have you seen my shows? Do you know who I am?
I saw them on the plane.
They weren't on the plane, okay?
I saw it.
I saw your show on the plane.
Oh, that's right.
What a guy. You know, people say, do people get the illness of fame? He didn't. He doesn't have it. He's the only one, rarely, that got away with not being bitten by the addiction to fame. He's the real deal.
Find the word. Were you good looking?
That is so funny.
Were you the cute guy?
No, I wasn't at all.
What
I
did
was
you
always
look?
kind of geeky. I had chipped teeth when I was a kid, and I had big ears, and I had.
Did people laugh at you? Was there a nickname they gave you?
They called me Spanks.
Oh, why?
Because it rhymes with Hanks.
Oh.
You look great, by the way. I love.
Do you think that?
I love the pantsuit that you have on. You look
think
so
that's
hip,
good?
very trendy.
And you're really like powerful now. This is what I wanted to get to. They say you're one of the most powerful people. What does that get you actually in
Well,
LA?
you-
like
you-
tables in restaurants I can't get into?
Well, no, believe me, you could get any table that you wanted in any restaurant, and you know, it really it gives me the power to crush people. Every now and again, I can crush somebody.
Yeah.
But
and have you used that? I mean, has there been somebody you
no,
think,
I'm
I'll just annihilate?
I'm pretty benevolent.
Right.
I'm a despot, but I'm a benevolent despot. I'm very careful about
who you step on, because you know someday when you're on that rickety road downward that they'll come
I'll
up
have
and-
my little cup of pencils and be hoping that.
Is
they'll
that right
stop
here
and
in your
buy.
mind, like your downfall? Do you keep that image right here? Because I think that's healthy.
I do. I'm always aware that things will change, and at one point I'll be standing on the corner watching the parade as opposed to riding in the car waving to all the people.
He's an artist. When you can focus on your art, all the other stuff is extraneous, even though you get a yacht. But, you know, you don't look to people to adore you. And finally, I guess OJ? Yeah.
And how did that come about?
I don't know. I jumped when they said OJ, because now you're going to get the most complicated character on earth. And that's my favorite, you know, psychological minefields. And he was.
The body of Nicole Brown Simpson lies alongside her friend Ron Goldman.
Nicole Brown Simpson was the mother of two of O.J. Simpson's children. Ron Goldman, a waiter, was Nicole's friend, murdered as he paid a chance visit to her home.
Ron Goldman has been stabbed repeatedly. Nicole's throat is slashed so severely she is nearly decapitated.
Today, my office filed.
5 days later, the Los Angeles District Attorney issues a warrant for the arrest of Nicole's former husband, football star O.J. Simpson.
The Los Angeles
The police close in, but O.J. evades arrest.
is actively searching for Mr. Simpson.
O.J. leads the police in a bizarre car chase watched live on television by 95 million people before finally being arrested. Simpson spends a year in jail on remand. His case becomes the media trial of the century.
This case centered on circumstantial evidence, most crucial perhaps the so-called trail of blood leading from the crime scene to O.J. Simpson's home. A pair of gloves, one recovered at the murder scene, one found at the former football star's mansion, provided perhaps the trial's most dramatic moment, when the defendant failed to put them on in court.
Los Angeles detective Mark Furman is accused by Simpson's defense of planting evidence. They claim he took a bloody glove from the crime scene and dropped it at Simpson's Rockingham estate to incriminate their client.
The former American football star O.J. Simpson has been found not guilty of murdering his ex-wife Nicole and her friend Ronald Goldman.
The jury delivered their verdict.
James Simpson not guilty of the crime of murder.
Did you see his face when they acquitted? Yeah, he was kind of not just surprised, ashamed. I thought he didn't know what he did, but now I'm starting to think he did.
As O.J. Simpson, his family and high-priced attorneys celebrated, for the victims' families, there was bitter disappointment. They, along with most white Americans, always believed the former football star was guilty, but most blacks were convinced he was an innocent man wrongly accused.
The first night we went out with his sister, and all these women came over to the table and said, "Can we meet afterwards?" And she said they come every night and they want to sleep with a criminal. You see, I think he wanted me to bust him, because then he said, out of nowhere, "Want to know what my favorite poem is?" And I said, yeah, and he went into, "Lizzie Borden had an axe. She gave her mother 40 whacks. When she'd seen what she had done, she gave her father 41. At dinner.
And what was your reaction?
Bingo. Hi, O.J.
Hello, and how are you?
Very nice to meet you.
This is Miles?
The little puppy there.
This is my puppy.
And you didn't morally think, oh, I shouldn't be giving this guy airtime?
I thought I can bust him, and he'd say, on air time. Yes, he did it, and I'd get him in jail. So I was being public defender. So you're going to take us through a day in your life?
Normally, I start off, in the morning, get my kids up, because it's just the three of us here, and my housekeeper comes a little later. And I get them together and, take them to school. Then I go to a place called, in a little area here called the Brentwood Mart, and have my coffee and read the tabloids.
We got a white van, because we thought that was so poignant, and he didn't mind going in it. The contrast to what you've got now, from people adoring you in the streets, which must have been a fabulous sensation. I mean, you were adored.
It is nothing, basically, when I travel, it is nothing like it is now. See, before I would get people, "Hey, Juice, what's happening?" And everybody, I would say maybe 1 out of every 10 or 11 people recognize me.
Yeah.
And even I was, at one point, like the third most recognized person in America, long before my trial. But still, half the people didn't know who the hell you were, the ladies were. Today, everybody recognized me.
I know I'm in my element, because this is astounding. Somebody who got away with it, and does he think he did it? Does he not think he did it? But also, that's an addict for fame. Are we going past Rockingham?
The next left turn is Rockingham.
So you don't see Rockingham and you weep for your
I drive by
past?
it every day.
Are there tourists coming by all the time?
I'm sure there's still some. As I tell you, it was the must-see. Everybody who came to L.A. drove by Rockingham.
Do you think that's weird that you get famous as a murderer
Well,
and you suddenly get this popular?
You know what I thought was weird is that I can understand a famous murder took place at Nicole's house. I can kind of understand that. The house that Bugsy Siegel was shot in through the window. I've even driven by that, right? But since nothing happened at my house, it was sort of amazing to me that my house became such a
Yeah, but they
place.
think you're the murderer. You see the connection?
Actually, you're absolutely wrong. Every TV crew was ever at my house with the crew, with the people outside, all thought I was innocent.
His eyes are darting around like a mad person. His presence was very jagged. He wasn't present. His mind was all over the place. And so I got fizzled. It was really hard to stay focused because I couldn't look in. He was really deflecting.
O.J. Simpson is believed to be in the white Bronco that you see in the center of your picture, followed by as many as 9 Orange County Sheriff's deputies. They have been in communication with him.
Perhaps one of the reasons that they are not taking any more aggressive action and moving in on that car, we are told right now that O.J.'s sitting there in the passenger seat with a gun pointed at his own head.
How does a guy so positive, though, like you, I've never met anything this positive, think of sticking a gun in your mouth?
It was depression. It was not.
But sudden, it must have been sudden. You never had depression before in your life.
Yeah, it was sudden. I mean, first of all, they had me on drugs, which I didn't realize until later, when they put me on those drugs that week, that the first thing the drug does, it makes you more depressed before it before your body
right.
acclimates to it. So I think that was part of it. 2, I was still in shock. And 3, as I told you before, not only was Nicole dead, they're going to arrest me. That was humiliating. It's humiliating to think they're going to come arrest me.
Yeah, I know. Did you go like this?
You never make up your mind. You just...
Take the gun and get in the car.
My thing was, I took the gun when I left my house. As the week went on, I got depressed, and I was in so much pain. I don't know if you've ever been in a lot of pain for something. In a lot of pain. You just want it to end.
He's convinced himself he didn't do it by this point. He's blaming it on drugs. I assume he's thinking that they gave him drugs for a long time, and maybe it was a dream. I don't know. There's a mental illness called doubling, where one part of the brain knows something and the other part doesn't, and they really aren't communicating. There's a cut, like almost 2 personalities.
This is the scariest thing that could possibly happen as a great guy, this great athlete that just learned how to knock down everything in his path. Suddenly has a hit, a second where they lost control. Maybe there's a blip in your mind where you didn't know what you were doing. Now,
I believe that can happen with almost anyone, but I just think that there is I honestly feel, unless there's some imminent danger to you or your family, if you have any type of faith or religious background, there is a point you won't cross.
I think he was frazzled. He was not in his right mind. But I think he lived like that, and he was so bored in life that he was grateful for that interview. It was like a little distraction.
Do you meditate?
At one point, I felt I had reached the state of clear, right?
Which is what?
Which is, in Scientology, I guess, as I saw it, is seeing it all, knowing it all, feeling that you're in total control of everything. The pulse of everybody is being controlled by your pulse.
Wow.
By you, and it's an interesting feeling to have.
It's very godlike.
Yeah.
Well, he just said it all. He's in control of everything, and he's God. That's already a psychotic. I've met psychopaths before, and they're always charming. Otherwise, nobody'd be lured into their circle.
The much-awaited testimony of Detective Mark Furman attracts more crowds than the opening day of the trial. Furman is confronted with allegations of his racist behavior. The evidence of the prosecution's former star witness and his discovery of the bloody glove at Simpson's house is now suspect. The defense claimed their client was framed by a racist conspiracy.
You said last night, even some of the cops said whether you didn't do it or whether you did do it, you were still definitely framed.
Framed, yeah. I mean, some of the sheriff's department and a couple of LAPD officers
said that.
Since then that said, and it's an argument that I've made since, and I agree with, that I don't care if you think I did it or if you think I didn't do it. You've got to admit I was framed. You saw all the testimony. You got 5 police officers standing for a half hour outside of my wall with nothing to do.
Right.
They got bodies at the other crime. They're not at the other crime. They're standing outside of my wall trying to figure a way to get over my wall to see what I'm doing in my house.
Yeah, so he's taking his anger out on the framing rather than feeling the guilt.
And then when did he think of dropping a glove in the back of your house?
Because once they found out I was in Chicago,
they found out once they got in the house?
Then they should have left. Then they should have left. But they wanted to search the house.
Right.
And that's when he came and found a reason to search the house. The glove gave him a reason to search the house.
I wonder when Furman, I mean, if you were going through this in your mind, and I'm sure you've gone through it 1,000 times, thought of picking up the other glove, going into your house and dropping it. I mean, that's an unbelievable thing to do.
They needed a reason to get in my house. It happens all the time. It's just something that police do. They cover each other's ass. We saw the movie Serpico. It's happened time and time again.
Well, they have to discuss it. It's a complicated thing to carry a glove and a hat and a thing.
No, you don't have to discuss it.
Well, you don't do it by osmosis.
Yes, they do. You ever been around a police? I mean, it's like a football team. Things happen in a football team. We don't have to discuss. Everybody covers for everybody.
Yeah, he's really playing the card of he was a victim. So it justifies everything he's ever done.
This is the infamous murders right there.
That's where Nicole lived?
That's where she lived.
Does that disturb you to see it?
It doesn't. I thought it would, and so I don't have a visual thing about it. In court, whenever they put pictures up of the bodies, I never looked at a picture. So I've never seen a picture of the bodies and in front of that. Even the video thing, my lawyers would say there, and I would kind of look off to the calendar. And something. Well, I don't want that image. I don't want to have that, to live the rest of my life with that picture of Nicole dead on a sidewalk. It's just not a picture you want to carry.
You know that the person stabbed her from the back.
I know that's what the guy said, yeah. And I would imagine that if anyone had their throat cut, normally it's from the back, at least from every movie I've ever seen.
Right.
I guess I saw one thing where the guy had some sort of a machete.
Well, you can go like this.
But from what I gathered, she died from a cut throat, not from a stab wound. So anyway, but I didn't. I never saw that picture and didn't want to.
Right.
But the first time I inadvertently, actually coming back from the restaurant, inadvertently was driving by, because normally I go down that way, and was surprised that I had really no reaction. And I've even driven by with a film crew.
Really?
Since then, with a German
and there's nothing.
Film crew, no reaction.
I don't know. He's clever. He's clever and he's detached.
Hello, sweetheart. How you doing?
How are you?
Good, you?
Oh, my goodness, fine.
How are you? Very my pleasure.
They're thrilled. They're just thrilled.
They look like good people. But you always get a wacko guy who's trying to incite something. They already shot him.
I've never personally shaken hands with a
How are you
murderer.
doing? Yeah,
It's good to see you.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you.
Doesn't that hurt?
Huh?
Doesn't that hurt your feelings?
No.
That's L.A. Famous fame.
Hi, what do you think of O.J. Simpson?
Guilty hell.
I think he knows who did it. I think he was a part of it, but that's just my opinion.
Sure, I was only ask your opinion.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's one more appearance he has to make, and that's the one upstairs.
Yeah, okay.
So I hope for his sake he didn't do it.
I would have liked to be a shrink in a prison.
Cops. Cops didn't want to be on TV, huh? I don't think anybody could have gone through. I got totally screwed. I got screwed. You know, I got things taken from me. I got me, to an extent, taken from me. My kids don't have a mother, and people want to ignore because of their, as far as I'm concerned, either ignorance, and in many cases, subconscious racism, won't look at the facts.
OJ, can't you say one thing? You know, I don't care whether you're black, white, or green. I really don't care. The bottom line is you got off. You're innocent.
Thank you.
I thought he'd confess by the end. We had him exhausted. That's really late at night.
You see what I'm doing now?
You're talking.
I swear, when I got out of jail, I was 24 hours. I wanted to know why. I'd watch every TV show and be arguing at that screen. Why won't they? Why didn't Larry King? That's not true. Why did Larry King not question him about that? You know.
Why do you go on?
Because I'm talking to you. And you got me riled up. You got me started on this subject. So if you promise that you will not ask me another question about the case.
I will never ask you again.
We won't have to talk about it anymore.
Just did you do it?
No, I didn't. Nope. Did not do it.
Afterwards, I did a piece to camera saying, I've been fixed up and I don't know who my date is going to be. And we put him in the hallway, and then I opened the door and it would be him. But when he was out there, all the trays were out there and he was looking for a knife to fool me when the door was open. But there was no knife, so he grabbed a banana. And then OJ called me up on April Fool's Day in London and said, I killed her. And then went, April Fools.
I heard you read Jung.
I do. You know, I read that growing up. It sounds so funny. You're laughing already.
No, I'm not laughing. My job is not to pass judgment. It's to just look.
I feel, wow, I've arrived. This is how I should have been feeling my whole life.
That's when fame gets scary, when it's at that level.
I invented a public her.
Yeah.
Because it was inconceivable that I could actually be famous or successful.
You're looking at the most beautiful woman in the world, and that's coming out of her mouth?
Do you ever think, oh God, he's noticing my wrinkles?
What wrinkles?
Aren't women great?